Good afternoon, folks, and welcome back. This is US Home Talk. We're live every Wednesday at noon on Facebook and YouTube Live. And of course, we're syndicated with all the podcasting platforms, so you can catch us anytime, anywhere, whatever works best for you. So we appreciate everyone that tunes in live and everyone that catches the show later in the week through your favorite podcasting platform. Jason Walgrave here with Marcus Walgrave. I'm with Walgrave Real Estate Group and the Minnesota Real Estate Team at RE/MAX Advantage Plus. Marcus, of course, is with Marcus Walgrave Real Estate Group and Hague Realtors. We have Mr. Mike Overson he's prepping for an event this afternoon. So he needed some extra time to set things up, apparently. So he'll be with us next week. And then, of course,
a doomsday prepper.
You know what? I could see Overson turning into a doomsday prepper and building like an underground fortress and years of canned goods in there. Have his guns and yeah, I could see that. Of course, we've got Evan Little, our great producer and insurance master, the Darth Vader of insurance, as we talked about last week. Is that what you decided?
That's me. Sure.
The Darth Vader of insurance. You know, Marcus, I know I am 99% certain that Evan really looks forward to interacting with you and I and Overson every week. You know, it used to be every Saturday morning for 10 years or 12 years, a long time. And I always recall how happy Evan was to see us in the morning and how much he appreciates our sense of humor, because we're very funny and very entertaining, and Evan just soak it up. So,
I mean, thankfully, you know, it's now Wednesday at noon is our show, and you know, add an extra Walgrave to the equation. I'm sure just amplifies his happiness.
Like a win-win for Evan.
Yeah.
Wednesdays are, you know, typically known as hump day, but for Evan, they're known as real estate show day with three amazing young men.
Yeah.
All right, folks, what are we talking about today? First of all, best way to get a hold of us anytime is our phone number, which is 612-234-7585. You can text us your questions during the show, anything and everything real estate related. So we'd love to hear from you. Questions about current market conditions, interest rates, anything to do with real estate home improvement. Maybe you have questions about credit or financing, new construction, or even commercial and land. We welcome all of those questions. You can text those questions to our text line, which is 612-234-7585. That is the text line. And it's also our 24-hour real estate hotline number. So you can connect with Marcus and myself, Mike and Evan, and all of our fantastic partners on the show. That number is a 24-hour hotline number. Call or text, and we'd love to get your text questions during the show. Also, feel free to comment in the section below on Facebook and YouTube with your comments and questions. We'll get those answered as well. But we appreciate you tuning in. And again, whether that's live or that's later in the week, we do appreciate everyone that continues to follow the show. And don't forget to tell your friends, of course. Our website, ushometalk.com. You can get a hold of us that way as well. Always available on that. You connect direct with Marcus and Mike and myself and Evan and all of our other fantastic partners. So the website, we're in the process of rebuilding it, and I expect that'll be done sometime in the next month. So it's pretty exciting. It'll be a new the website platform or that we have had for many years, probably a decade. It's a bit outdated, and so we are working to bring things up to the times. And so we appreciate your patience on that. But it's a great resource to connect with everyone. ushometalk.com. And again, the text line during the show for questions is 612-234-7585. That is the text line. Text us your questions. We'll get those answered. 612-234-7585. Marcus, I'm noticing you've got a clean shave, a clean buzz. I mean, you're looking damper today.
Well, thank you.
You're
So are
welcome.
you. I think the one thing I'm missing is some sun. I haven't had a chance to get out there, and when I do go out there, I tend to cover up pretty well. So but just a typical Wednesday, I guess.
Typical Wednesday. Great weather. The sun's out. It definitely feels like spring. I had to shave the beard the other day because I was starting to. My face was sweating when I was in meetings, and so that wasn't going very well. So I had to clean it up. Plus, my youngest, who's only 3 months, I don't think that she liked my kisses very much with the beard. She seems to respond better with a clean shaven face. So, all right, folks, what are we talking about today? So Marcus and I have developed a blueprint, 19 strategies on how to win in multiple offers. The spring market is here and it is hot, and it is very, very similar to last spring. And so we're seeing a lot of multiple offers. This can be incredibly frustrating for buyers and agents because the inventory is so low and there's a lot of people buying, and you're in a position where you find a house that you like, you love it, you want to make an offer, and there's probably somebody else that wants to make an offer as well. And so we've developed this exclusive blueprint to win multiple offers. We have 19 strategies. We're not gonna share them all today, but we're gonna go through a number of them and just talk about how you can position yourself as a buyer and as a real estate agent in order to represent your buyer in the best possible way, to give them an advantage when you're in that situation. So how do you win in multiple offers? What are sellers looking for, right? It's one of the things that I think is incredibly important is that your agent is picking up the phone and calling the listing agent and just having a conversation. It's important to build that rapport immediately with the listing agent. I can't tell you how many times over the years, guys, we've won multiple offers for our buyers because of the relationships and the reputations that we've built over the years. The agent, they know our team, they know Marcus, they know myself, they know Mike Overson. And so that gives our clients a tremendous advantage because the agents are confident that the deal is going to get done, it's going to get closed on time, that they're working with a team on the other end that is incredibly professional, ethical, has systems in place to make the transaction go as smooth as possible. And for some agents, they know that we're going to do some extra work. Marcus, this is something you and I have talked about since you've gotten into the business. And the reality is the position that we take for our clients is that when we're going into a transaction and our buyer's goal is to win that offer, to get that house. Sometimes that means that Marcus and I and our teams will have to go above and beyond, meaning we may have to do some of the listing agent's work in order to make the deal maybe go quicker or more smoothly. And we're always more than willing to do that. And so we're willing to do more than what's expected, more than what we're supposed to do, because we want to represent our clients in the best possible way that we can. We want to make sure that the transaction is as smooth and seamless as possible. And if you're in a multiple offer situation, we want to give you the highest likelihood of winning that offer, of becoming the top bidder. So the seller chooses your offer, and it's going to be your house someday. So let's talk about
Jason.
Yeah.
Before we go on to the next one, I just want to make a couple comments there. First thing you said was, we're going to make a phone call when we submit an offer. Just some quick real estate stats from the National Association of Realtors. The median age of all realtors in the U.S. is 56 years of age. 66% of those realtors are female, and real estate experience of all realtors median again is 8 years in the business. So when you're looking at generational behavior, and yes, technology is awesome. It is definitely has made the realtors life a lot easier. Maybe not easier, but a lot smoother. The clients are able to receive information at a faster rate, things of that nature. But if you think about it, there are an incredible amount of new realtors that have entered into the business. A lot of them being younger generations as well. And even though that in their generation, maybe a text or an email it will suffice and is their preferred line of communication, but just knowing that, just picking up that phone and giving a quick call and say, hey, I sent you this email. If you get a chance, if you're fortunate enough to get them on the phone, then we can actually go over it with them. I mean, how many times, Jason, have you received an offer where you were not sitting in front of your 30-inch computer screen and all you had was your smartphone? Yes, we can open up those attachments and look at offers on our smartphone, but likely we are probably running around showing other clients other homes or at listing presentations, trying to get homes listed. And just that opportunity to have a conversation, say, hey, Mr. Listing Agent, Mrs. Listing Agent, I'm going to just sent you an offer. Let me know if you got it. And also, if you got maybe a quick couple minutes, I'm going to run over the main points of the offer. And they also hear, the tone of your voice. You can get them excited about the offer that we just submitted. And in return, that's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to relay to their client. Yep. And so, if you can present an offer in the best light, in the best tone as well, yes. Maybe add some explanation on why, there was a provision added to it, why there shouldn't be any concerns about it, can definitely be extremely beneficial.
Well, it can, and it's our job representing our buyers to gather information about the sellers, and so, before we write those offers, I want to talk to the listing agent. I want to find out what's important to your sellers. What's an ideal closing date? Do they need extra time in the home? What do they have going on that's, maybe outside of the norm that's important to them that maybe our buyers can provide? Maybe it's extra days to move out, or maybe it's a rent back agreement. And so if you don't make those calls, you're not going to get that information, because that information generally is not available on the MLS.
No, it's not going to be in the public remarks on a MLS.
It's not. And so we want to, and to start that rapport and that relationship. I mean, Mike and I had a deal recently where multiple offer situation, and there was 2 other offers that were very similar to our offer, as far as price and terms. And the listing agent, they know us. We've done transactions with them before. They know Mike. And so when I talked to them, they said, Jason, look, we're advising our sellers take your offer. It was similar to the other 2, but we know you, and we know your reputation and your team's reputation. We know Mike's going to get the deal done. And we're most confident with the real estate team and the mortgage team that is representing the buyer. And so we love hearing stories like that, right? I mean, we work so hard to provide an excellent service and to, have really great reputations in the business, and, and go above and beyond and treat agents and clients and everyone that's involved really, really well. And that stuff matters, and agents, listing agents, they remember that. They'll remember a good transaction. They'll remember a great transaction, 10 years from now, and on the flip side, they'll remember a not so great transaction 10 years from now. I can, I'm not going to, but I could name off a dozen agents that we've had to work with over the years that it was not a pleasant deal. The communication was poor, the attitudes were terrible, whatever the case is. And so when an agent like that we've had a bad experience with, when they come back to the table with an offer, we share those experiences with our clients, with our sellers, and say, hey, look, here's the offer. Just want to let you know my past experience with this agent. And guess what? If you got 2 offers that are similar, you think a seller is going to work with an agent that was difficult the last time you did a deal with them? No. They're not. They're not. And so you, Marcus and I, we owe it to our clients and customers to go above and beyond, to be incredibly professional and respectful and do the best job possible, because our actions may determine whether or not they get the house that they want. And it goes so much beyond the single transaction. The ripple effect, can last for years and decades. And I mean, I can't believe how many offers that I get on listings of mine where I just get an email. Please see attached offer. That's it. No phone call, no text message, just an email. No follow up. And it's such a bad representation for your client when you're not communicating really, really well with the listing agents.
And it's unfortunate again that you could probably point the finger just at generational behaviors and that individual who sent it, they maybe just didn't have the education or the training to know that. And kind of going back to your point too, Jason, where sometimes it's our job to do the other realtor's job, not necessarily because they don't know how to do it, or simply just because we are concerned about the overall experience of our client and how we can better position themselves in their real estate transactions. So
Yes.
if that is simply getting an email and calling them and say, hey, can you explain your offer to me, we'll do that. Or even in a situation like this where we're talking about multiple offers, and we submit an offer, and maybe the listing agent says, hey, I'm having dinner, I got family that are visiting, I'm going to be in dinner for the next 2-3 hours. The seller likes those terms, but we would rather have this kind of a close date, these terms, instead of us sitting back and say, okay, well, you send us a counter offer,
Right.
we'll say, hey, we're going to rewrite what we got, what we sent you to what you just told us, and we'll send it over to you. So then you can just have it and accept it and send it back over to us.
Oh,
So
yeah, absolutely. We do that all the time. I mean, agents are out and they're busy doing things, and I'll say, hey, would you like us to draft that up for you quick? Yeah, thank you. That'd be super helpful. And then it speeds up the timeline, and you're not waiting because they have another appointment or whatever the case is.
yep.
And so I think that, I mean, I've even had agents that are on vacation and they don't have access to whatever internet or whatever the case is, and I'll say, hey, why don't you just send me your client's email and information, and then I will CC you on everything. But if it looks good, then I'll send it to them through Authentisign. So so we can just help facilitate the deal for our clients' best interest. And again, it's going above and beyond, and it's so important in this business. So many people in real estate and all industries, right? I think more people than not, they're only going to do what they think they need to do, right? They're going to do the minimum of what they think is required, and that's it. There can be this attitude, that's not my job. Which in real estate, if you want to represent your clients to the best possible way, sometimes you got to do what's not your job, and because that is your job. So, what are sellers looking for? So we talked a little bit about closing dates. Really important. Buyers are very flexible on closing dates in today's market because it's a seller's market, right? And so, sometimes sellers, they want to close quick, and it's, hey, I want to close, as soon as possible. 30 days would be ideal. Maybe another seller is building a house. That house won't be done for 90 days. Then that would be an example of, a 90-day closing. We had one last year where the sellers, they were building a new house. The house wasn't going to be done until the end of October. But we wanted to go on the market in February. They had a contingency plan of a interim place to live, but they didn't really want to exercise that. And so an interested buyer came in, and they said, this was a great agent. What's important to the seller? So they're building a house, doesn't close till the end of October. An end of October closing would be ideal, would be perfect. That buyer agreed to it. They wrote the offer. We got it accepted in February on an existing house that didn't close till the end of October. And so, let's find out when the sellers want to close, when they need to close. And if you're able to accommodate that, that's going to give you an advantage when you're in a multiple offer situation.
Woo. No, I think, with kind of the timing too, I mean, it goes both ways. And then you talked about maybe a possible lease back option.
Mhm.
That could be something to where if a buyer is financing their purchase and they're concerned about, what is maybe a more favorable rate today, if that's going to go up in a couple months, simply saying, hey, can we simply close on it in 30 days, and then we will, work out some terms to a lease back option to where seller can reside at the property until the end of October, and that can be, kind of a win-win where seller gets to be in there for the time that they need to, and then buyer can lock into, maybe what is a more favorable rate today, which we've seen it be pretty volatile here in the last 6 months. So it is kind of a top of mind for buyers, and that's something to where, us and working with, mortgage brokers like Mike, we can have those conversations like, hey, is there a rate lock that can be extended throughout October? Do we even need to close now, or is it in our best interest to do that, and maybe make a little money and on a lease back option?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Generally speaking, most sellers are one of their top priorities is the highest net offer possible, right? And so when I say net offer, what does that mean? Well, you've got a $500,000 property. This just happened a couple weeks ago. $500,000 property. Agent sent over an offer, 500,000 with 3% in closing costs. And so she calls up and she's like, yeah, we sent you a full price offer. And I said, well, it's not a full price offer because you're asking for $15,000 in closing costs. Yeah, but the asking price is 500 and the offer is 500. And I said, right, but when you're asking for concessions, then it reduces that, and so it's not a full price offer. And then
A little play on words, I guess.
little play on words, right? So net offer. Most sellers are one of their top goals is to get the highest net offer. And so if you're asking for concessions, and that's actually one of the things in here that we're going to talk about not doing is asking for closing costs. But that should be the focus. And so we also do a part of our 19-step strategy is, the purchase agreements are large. They're 35, 40 pages, depending on, how many additional addendums that you need. It's a lot of paperwork.
What state you're in.
What state you're in. There's a lot of paperwork. So what we include with all of our offers is a one-page summary sheet. And so a agent and the sellers on the first page can look at the main points of the offer. So the offer price, the net offer price, we have listing price in there, closing date. Is it finance or is it a cash offer? Is there an inspection? If so, how long? Is it contingent on a home selling? And so the 8 or 9 main points to an offer, those are included in our summary sheet so that an agent can quickly, maybe they're out and about, right? And they're mobile at the moment. So they only have a chance to look on their smartphone. They can pull that up. First page gives you all the main details of the offer. Now they can call up their seller, excuse me, and say, hey, we just got an offer. Let's go over the summary of it. It keeps the process moving more quickly. It's easier to understand a summary sheet than 38 pages of purchase agreement. And of course, when time permits, their agent can go through the entire purchase agreement. But we want to simplify the process to make it easier for listing agents and sellers to understand what the offer is that we're sending over.
I think that's, again, just going back to, there, especially if you're working with a top-notch realtor, that individual, he or she is going to be a very busy person. They're going to have a career that's probably requiring 55 to 60 hours per week of work. Likely has family and friends. So, if you can provide that one page offer summary sheet, it just, like you said, it makes it go a lot smoother, a lot quicker. and they can kind of cut to the chase with everything and get that information over to their client. And again, that's going to put clients that we're working with, their offer is going to be in their best light because they see that. What I mean, they is the seller sees that and says, "God, I like how this offer was presented, even if, the offers are virtually identical, just something little like that can separate yourself."
Yeah, it can give you an advantage, and that's what we want to do. We want to give our clients as many advantages as we can in order to increase that likelihood of getting their offer accepted during a multiple offer situation. Inspections. So, man, the last couple of years, this has been tough on buyers. Buyers always say, "Do you recommend getting an inspection?" Yes, I do.
Yes.
Do you think that if I have an inspection in there, I'll win the offer? Probably not.
In a multiple
and so
offer
it's one of those.
position, no.
Yeah, you're in a multiple. There's 6, 7 other offers, and everything else is similar. You have an inspection, and the other offer doesn't. They're going to take the offer that doesn't have the inspection. They might even take the offer that's less that doesn't have an inspection, because now we can go straight to pending rather than that 5 to 10 day inspection window where it's up in the air still. So it's tough. I get it on buyers, right? It's tough to buy a property without doing an inspection. We recommend that you do them. However, when the questions ask, am I going to get the house if I do an inspection? In multiple offer situations, probably not. Now, with that said, there are strategies, to go, above and beyond the price, so you can offer a lot more and have an inspection, and sellers will, if the dollar amount is the difference is great enough, they'll probably take your inspection offer. But then there's also ways to write an inspection contingency that is appealing to the seller. Those are some of the things that we won't go over on the show today, but there are certainly strategies to still include an inspection to protect your buyers and make it desirable for the seller, and make it write it in a way that they say, that's okay. With that type of inspection, how it was written, we're still going to take your offer.
A lot of sellers, they understand that a buyer is going to want to have an inspection. So it's not like, in those situations where, a buyer is simply saying, "Hey, I gotta have this. I simply have to have this." And you are very strategic on how it is presented. Not too often do you come across the seller where they're like, "Oh, property inspection, that's ridiculous. This house is perfect." They're like, "Yeah, I mean, if I was buying a house too, I'd probably appreciate to do, hopefully whatever house we're buying after we sell this one, we can be in a position where we can, have a property inspection done as well." So it's again, kind of going back to the point, just making sure that you're being strategic in terms of writing up the terms of that property inspection addendum or provision or whatever it may be.
When you're talking about financing, cash generally is going to be preferred. A number of reasons for that. There's no appraisal. There's no financing contingency. There's no chance of the financing falling through. If a buyer loses their job, they don't get the financing, so on and so forth. So a cash offer is in most cases going to be, assuming that the prices are the same, is going to be a better offer. And then when you're looking at financing, what type of financing do you have? Conventional financing is going to be better than FHA and VA in most cases, or at least in the seller's eyes. Do you have additional assistance? Do you have first-time home buyer assistance? Are you getting down payment assistance? Do you have additional financing items attached to the overall financing? Are they pre-approved or are they pre-qualified? Who's the lender? Right? I mean, we love working with Mike and his team. Every time I send over an offer, so I'll call the agent prior, get the information about what the sellers are looking for, what's important to them. I get the offer drafted. Not only do I send it to the listing agent, but then I CC my assistant on there, and I CC Mike Overson. And then Mike will follow up with a video email to the listing agent that says, hey, this is Mike Overson of Illuminate Home Loans. Just wanted to let you know that, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, they've been pre-approved. We've taken them all the way through underwriting. They're solid buyers. They've got plenty of cash reserves. This is going to be an easy loan for us, and call me with any questions. Right. And so now the communication lines have been open between listing agent and loan officer, which again, probably only happens like 10% of the time, but every time I'm on the listing side and I got a great agent that presents an offer well, and then I get a follow-up phone call or an email from the loan officer, immediately I feel more confident about the deal because I got an open communication line now to the loan officer who's providing the financing so the buyers can buy the house.
There's even times where the offer isn't as good as the other ones, and just because of having that experience as a listing agent, you're kind of rooting for them. You're like, this is a good experience on how they're presenting everything, and if they're able to do that out of the gates, they're likely will do that throughout the whole process and through the finish line. So,
Yes.
And being able to just inform your client that and going over the pros and cons to each offer that's submitted, is key.
Absolutely. So in Minnesota, if you have an HOA attached to the property, which is typically on townhomes and condos, there's a 10-day window to review those documents. So you have the ability to reduce that 10-day timeline down to 3 days, for example. That's another great strategy that sellers really love because you don't have to wait 10 days for the deal to go pending, right? And so anytime you have the opportunity to reduce timelines, whether that's HOA docs to review, if an inspection is something that you have in there, get it done as quickly as you can. Don't do 10 days. We call our inspector when we're presenting offers and say, hey, we're presenting an offer right now. Are you available tomorrow? Because we want to get the deal done tonight. We want you to go in tomorrow so that we can finish it all up in 48 to 72 hours. And so I always find it frustrating as a listing agent when agents wait till day 7 on a 10-day, or even if they're waiting 5 or 6 days, it's frustrating for me because, like, man, a lot of inspectors out there. There's a lot of really good inspectors out there. You shouldn't have to wait 5-6 days to get the inspection done. But again, it's all these little things. It's experience, knowing what sellers are looking for, knowing what listing agents are looking for, and being able to write the best possible offer that you can.
You kind of talk about the inspectors, and that's something too where you do see the listing agents, especially the experienced ones. If I'm a buyer's agent and I'm presenting an offer, and we do have a little bit of a short turnaround for that inspection, and then just simply letting them know, like, hey, we've already scheduled this, or I've already reached out to the inspector. They can get there that fast. Again, that information is going to get relayed, and really the only way you can do it is by a phone call. So it kind of goes back to one of the first things we talked about in today's show was the value of just getting on the phone and having a verbal conversation with the other realtor, and just informing them, hey, this is what we're looking to do. We're going to try to knock this out of the park, and here's our process, and we have everybody ready. The whole team's ready from A to Z, and we're ready to go. And you get that warm fuzzy feeling, and a lot of people want that. Even you talk about like the net proceed, for the most part is the most important thing. But if that net proceeds only $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 difference from maybe you're the second best offer in terms of that dollar amount, it's easy for a seller to put a dollar value to things. We talked about home inspection. I mean, a seller knows their house better than anybody else. So they can kind of sit back and think to themselves, okay, well, I'm going to kind of go down the list of maybe some older things that are in the house that maybe, that are working just fine and have, plenty of life expectancy left. but might get noticed or might get brought up during a property inspection. So they kind of have like a running dollar amount in their brain in terms of like, worst case scenario, this is what it could be. So when you're presenting that, and like you said, Jason, the list price, the example, the $500,000 home, and saying, hey, we want to do a home inspection, but we're gonna offer you 505.
Yeah.
Because if something does come up and we want the sellers to address it, they're still going to be at or above list price for a net.
Yep. One of the other things that we talk about is, and you just mentioned this, Marcus, is presenting the team's information, right? And so once we've got an offer accepted, Aubrey will send out an email, kind of a next steps email to the listing agent, and it has all of her contact information. It has all of Mike's contact information, and then we've got all of our title company's contact information. So, and anyone else that might be working on the house. And so we've got, this well-organized email that shows everyone that's going to be involved in the next steps of the process. So, it's a team effort, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a team effort. You got the real estate, you got the mortgage, you got the title, you got the insurance. I mean, Evan knows, you got to have insurance on the house,
True.
right?
100%.
100%, and even if it's a cash purchase, you should have insurance on the house. So who's the team? It's a group of a lot of different individuals, professionals in the business. And so again, we want to communicate that to make the process go more smoothly and to make it go quicker and as little stress on the buyers and sellers as possible. We talk about possession time a little bit earlier in the show. So possession time it's generally in our market, it's immediately. You go back 10, 15 years ago and it was industry standard. You give the seller 24 hours to move out. And so, which is crazy.
Let's go back a little. Possession time. We're talking about a day of closing when everybody goes to the title company and they,
Yes.
sign all the closing documents, and ownership is officially exchanged from seller to buyer.
Yep.
And then there's the line item there that specifies when is buyer to take possession of said property.
Correct. Yep.
And
what is it? What's standard in your market right now?
Immediate.
Yep. So immediate. Yep. And that's what it is here too. But if you go back 15 years, it was not immediate. It was 24 hours. That was the industry standard. So like I think about it in today's world, that just seems crazy to me, right? I mean,
it seems like a big liability.
Well, you bring your $500,000 to buy the $500,000 house. You got your cash and your loan. You give the seller all the money, and they sign over the deed, but they don't give you the keys for another 24 hours because they got to move their stuff out. So they have possession of this massive purchase that you just made. So I'm happy that it has changed to immediate, but maybe the seller needs a couple days, right? And maybe, for whatever reason, maybe they have a big family and it takes longer to move all the kids, or maybe they're older and they got to hire people or whatever. That's a question that I'm going to ask the listing agent. Hey, does your seller need some extra time to move? Do they need that possession time to be a little bit longer? And I'll tell you what, we had one last year where it was an extra 7 days, multiple offer situation. Most of the terms were pretty similar, but because we gave that seller an entire week to move their stuff out, we won the deal. It was, and the buyers were like, I don't really care, and for them, all they had to do was give 1 week and they got the house all day long, and so find out about possession time and what do they have lined up? Where are they moving to next? I've had buyers pay for moving costs for the seller. Part of our offer was, what, I'm going to pay $2,500 for a moving company to help the seller. What? Nobody's doing that, right? There's all sorts of little things that you can add in that you don't think are a big deal, but you start adding them up. Going to pay for some moving costs, going to give you a couple extra days. These are, and sellers appreciate it because it's different and it's something that is beneficial to them.
I think it's different but beneficial, right, Jason? I mean, I know especially these last couple of years, realtors are trying to think out of the box and trying to come up with some creative ideas and ways to get their offer accepted. It needs to be beneficial. I mean, I know, there was a handful of listings I've had in the past couple of years where, a buyer's agent said, "Hey, pizza's on us." It's like, I don't think pizza's going to do it this time. We got a dozen offers. And I think, if you're looking to do something like that, I mean, obviously, paying for a professional mover, that's going to be, probably $2,000 to $3,000+ in it. That is beneficial. We kind of joked when we had our guest on about a month back, couple months back, professional movers and just simply had the conversation about, when our last couple moves, we hired movers and just the not having to do that physical labor, not having to take the day off of work or multiple days off of work, you start putting dollar values on, okay, well, I'm gonna have to use my PTO if you're an employee, or I have to call up all my clients and say, hey, I'm not available on these 2 days because I'm moving. And then the potential of risking injury. So, I mean, it's, a beneficial thing like that, even though that it, the movers will give you a dollar amount on it, it has more value than that. I mean, a lot of people can see that and be like, yeah, I mean, to us, that's worth $5,000.
Yes.
So,
because what's your time?
It's gotta be strategic. It's gotta be beneficial, or you'll get the ones where it's like, hey, a listing agent, we'll buy you pizza. It's like, well, I don't need pizza. If you want to give something to somebody, it's probably in your best interest to give it to the seller, not to me. I mean, and so you still got to be smart about those things. More isn't always better.
Exactly. Folks, best way to get a hold of us anytime during the week is our website, ushometalk.com. You can connect with Marcus, myself, Mike Overson, Evan Little with Paragon. Of course, he's also our great producer. We have a real estate hotline number. It's a 24-hour real estate hotline number. You can call or text at 612-234-7585. Call or text anytime. 612-234-7585. Our website is ushometalk.com. We appreciate you tuning in. Today we went over some of our 19 strategies to win in multiple offers. Marcus and I have developed a blueprint to win multiple offers. 19 strategies. We shared a few of them with you today. If you're in the market to buy a home in this crazy seller's market and you'd like to have an advantage, we want to sit down and meet with you. So we appreciate you tuning in today. We'll be back next week, of course, at noon, every Wednesday at noon. Be sure to check out us later on our podcast. And we appreciate everyone tuning in. Hope you have a great week.